Welcome to college football week 6 predictions. What a way to start this week. We got some big bangers for this one. We'll start with this one, Conference USA matchup showdown on Friday. Western Kentucky taking on Delaware at 7 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Delaware is a 2.5-point favorite. How about the big story? The Blue Hens are 3-1 in their first ever FBS level. So I gotta give a shout out to the Blue Hens. You go from FCS to then promoted to FBS, and look at their results. Their only loss was against Colorado, which non-conference. Here against the Hilltoppers, I don't know. It's going to be a 50-50 game, but give me the Hilltoppers. They're a really good football team. Give me the Hilltoppers by 3. To Saturday we go. It is Kentucky taking on 12th ranked Georgia at 12 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Georgia is a 20.5-point favorite. Of course, Georgia in a must-win game against the Wildcats, who are coming off a brutal loss to South Carolina. Here, give me the Bulldogs by 25. And if this does go to at least, let's say, 14, 10-point win with the Bulldogs, then there is going to be some concern surrounding maybe their offense or their defense. 14-ranked Iowa State taking on Cincinnati at 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Cincinnati is a 1.5 favorite. Iowa State could be the first team to clinch a bowl eligible if they win this on week 6. Of course, they're undefeated. They're taking on Cincinnati, who are coming off a huge road win against the Kansas Jayhawks. But listen, this is a different type of team. So give me the Cyclones. They win it by 3. Wisconsin taking on 20th ranked Michigan at 12 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Michigan is a 16.5-point favorite. This would probably be a do-or-die game for Luke Fickell, the head coach of Wisconsin. I think it's going to be a Michigan run football team. Wolverines win it by 25. Boston College taking on Pittsburgh at 12 p.m. Eastern on ACC Network. Pittsburgh is a 4.5-point favorite. Of course, Pittsburgh coming off a tough home loss to Louisville against Boston College. And their season's not going well. Of course, after losing to Cal. Brutal. Give me Pitt. Pitt wins it by 6. Clemson taking on UNC at 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Clemson is a 2-touchdown favorite. By that, 13.5. This is a Clemson must-win game. They're 1-3, coming off a bye. See if their team could get back on track against the Tar Heels. And for the Tar Heels fans, I think they just don't want Bill Belichick anymore in UNC. This is more important for Clemson going on the road against UNC, against Bill Belichick. And that's going to be a great coaching match between Bill Belichick and Dabo Swinney. So that being said, Dabo Swinney outcoaches Bill Belichick. Clemson wins it by 20. Kansas State taking on Baylor at 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Baylor is a 5.5-point favorite. Of course, the Baylor Bears 3-2 record. Of course, they're trying to get their themselves in the conversation of a Big 12 title game. But they have to take on the 2-3 Wildcats, who are coming off a huge win against UCF on the road. Give me the Wildcats. This should be a huge win for the Wildcats. They'll win it by 6. Wake Forest taking on Virginia Tech at 1 p.m. Eastern on DCW Network. Virginia Tech is a 6.5-point favorite. Both these teams looking at least have some momentum going this week. Of course, Wake Forest coming off a heartbreaking loss in overtime against Georgia Tech. While Virginia Tech, they're coming off a win without Brent Pruitt as their head coach, beating NC State. Here, this is a 50-50 game. I would be surprised if Wake Forest wins this game, but I have to take the Hokies. I think the Hokies win it. They win it by 2 points. Seventh ranked Penn State versus UCLA at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Penn State is a 25 and a half point favorites who are coming off a brutal loss to Oregon in overtime in the whiteout game. They got embarrassed, by the way. Against UCLA, which there's nothing for UCLA to do. They're just going to play for pride. Here, give me Penn State by 35. Ninth ranked Texas taking on Florida at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Texas is a 6.5 point favorite. This is a bit low because both of these teams are coming off a bye week, of course. So momentum shifts to both of them. But give me Texas. Hook them. Longhorns win by 10. 16th ranked Vanderbilt taking on 10th ranked Alabama at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Alabama is an 11.5 point favorite. This is probably people concerning to call this the game of the week because Vanderbilt is 5-0. Yeah, you heard me. 5-0. Their best start so far this year. They're going to take on the Crimson Tide, who are coming off a big-time win on the road in Athens on a primetime game against Georgia. We've seen this story before. Last year, Bama went to Vanderbilt. They lost, of course, which Alabama were coming off a huge win against Georgia in Tuscaloosa. Here, I think the story is going to be a bit different. Give me Alabama by 1 point. Boise State taking on 21st ranked Notre Dame at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Notre Dame is a 17.5 point favorites. A bit too high because, yes, they're going to play the Boise State Broncos. But, yeah, despite their loss to South Florida about a few weeks ago, earlier this season, they managed to win 3 games. Be ready. Sorry, give me Notre Dame. I think they win this by 8. 24th rank, Virginia. Yes. Virginia Cavaliers, you get ranked, and you get to be in this prediction video. 24th ranked Virginia taking on Louisville at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Louisville is the 6.5 point favorites. It is Chandler Morris versus Miller Moss. Both of these quarterbacks transferred from their former college campus to now what essentially is a battle of the century. Maybe. Chandler Morris and Cavaliers coming off a huge win in Charlottesville against Florida State. But they got to take this on the road against Louisville, who are coming off a big road win against Pitt. This should be a fun one. I do think Louisville has the better overall roster than Virginia. The question I do have for the Cavaliers is that big win against Florida State going to carry their momentum to Louisville? I don't think so. I think Louisville wins it by 10. Washington taking on Maryland at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Big Ten Network. Washington is a 5.5 point favorite. Of course, coming off a tough loss at home against Ohio State. They get the Maryland Terps, who are coming off a bye week, of course, 4-0 with a freshman quarterback. Impressive, isn't it? Give me Washington. Desmond Williams will be using his legs against that Maryland defense. Give me Washington by 4. 11th ranked Texas Tech taking on Houston at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Texas Tech is a 12.5 point favorite. This is the undefeated matchup, of course. Both teams undefeated 4-0 on the bye week. Of course, the last time we saw these two teams, Texas Tech get a huge win on the road against Utah 2 weeks ago. While for Houston, last week they got a huge road win, of course, comeback win against Oregon State. Give me the Red Raiders. I think this should be a good game, but give me the Red Raiders by 8. Here is my game of the week. Number 3 ranked Miami taking on 18th ranked Florida State at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Miami is a 6.5 point favorite. Of course, they're coming off a bye after their impressive win against the Gators 2 weeks ago. They're going to take on the Seminoles, who are coming off a brutal loss on the road in Charlottesville against the Cavs. This is an all Florida State rivalry. We've seen this, of course. I mentioned Florida and Miami. Miami got the chance to win that. Big win for them. Here in Florida State, I could predict Florida State. They could probably win it. And this is being played in Tallahassee in Florida. So with that being said, Miami's a 6.5-point favorites. And while Florida State is a dog, yeah, give me Miami by 4. Colorado taking on TCU at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. TCU is a 14.5-point favorite going up against the Buffaloes, who are coming off a tough home loss to BYU. Now they got to go to Texas Christian University, take on the Horned Frogs, who are coming off a tough loss to Arizona State on the road. I think this should be a bounce-back win for TCU. They win it by 6. Kansas taking on UCF at ESPN2. This is a 7:30 p.m. game. Kansas is a 4.5-point favorite, of course, coming off a tough loss to Cincinnati at home. They got to go to UCF and take on the Knights, who are coming off a tough loss also to Kansas State, on the other hand. Here, give me the upset of the day. Give me UCF winning it by 5. And finally, Duke taking on Cal at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Duke is a 3.5-point favorite. Duke is 3-2, okay? We don't need to worry about them. They're coming off a big win against Syracuse. But who wants to talk about the 4-1 Cal Golden Bears? Yes, the California Golden Bears. Did anybody predict them to win 4 games? Not me. I didn't expect this result to happen. Give me Duke. Again, we've seen this from East Coast traveling to West Coast. It is going to be difficult for Duke, but I think they'll pull it off. Give me Duke by 2 points. And that's it for my college football Week 6 predictions. Hello there. If you have not seen my other videos, go check them out at my channel. Of course, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for more sports news.